So you step onto a major construction site, right? And it is just this massive symphony of heavy machinery.
Oh yeah, it's loud, it's busy.
Exactly. You have, excavators digging trenches, bulldozers pushing mountains of earth, loaders constantly in motion. And from the outside, it looks incredibly productive. It looks like the physical embodiment of progress.
Right.
But if you were to ask the contractor running that site exactly how much those specific machines are costing them, hour by hour, suddenly that crystal clear picture gets, really blurry.
It does, because the heavy iron out there in the dirt, it's the most visible asset a company has. Yet, from a purely mathematical standpoint, it operates like this massive financial black box.
Yeah.
A contractor might know the monthly finance payment on a wheel loader, sure, but the actual real-time operating cost, that is rarely tracked with any real precision.
And that's exactly why we're speaking directly to you today. The construction business owners, the fleet managers, and the contractors who are actually managing these sites. If you are tired of guessing where your profit margins are evaporating, this deep dive is for you.
Absolutely.
Because when you stop guessing, the financial results are honestly staggering. Consider a contractor down in Texas who recently saved $210,000 a year on equipment maintenance alone.
Just on maintenance?
Yeah, just maintenance. Or a contractor out in Colorado who saved $340,000 in just their first year.
And the mechanics of that Colorado example are really fascinating because they made a $95,000 initial investment to overhaul how they track their machinery. So to achieve a $340,000 return on a $95,000 spend, that means they hit a complete financial payback in just 3.4 months.
Wait, 3.4 months? That is an absurd return on investment for any industry, let alone construction.
Yeah.
And how did both of these companies actually pull that off? They took the exact same approach. They installed telematics on their equipment. They basically stopped treating their fleet like this disconnected collection of metal, and they started managing it like a modern, fully integrated business.
Exactly. And so our mission today for this deep dive is to really break down the realities of construction fleet management in 2026. We're exploring the specific metrics you need to track, the underlying mechanisms of how this technology solves the industry's most expensive headaches, and how a digital-first approach completely changes the way you scale your operations.
Right. But before we can understand how a company saves $500,000, we have to look at where the money is leaking in the first place.
Oh, for sure.
We have to uncover the invisible financial bleed happening on almost every single job site right now. And the reality check here is pretty harsh. Most contractors know exactly what capital they laid out to buy a machine.
Yeah, the upfront purchase price is easy to grasp. It sits right there on the balance sheet.
Right, and they know what rate they're charging the client to use that machine on the job. But that crucial middle ground, the actual real-time operating cost per hour, remains a total mystery.
It's a huge blind spot.
It's like pouring a concrete foundation without building a form first.
Yeah.
You know you're pouring resources out, but you have no idea where they are actually flowing.
And that lack of visibility comes with a massive price tag. If we look closely at Smart Business Automator's market intelligence report, the average construction equipment utilization rate is shockingly low.
Really?
Yeah, we're looking at an industry average of just 40 to 60%.
Wait, just 40 to 60%?
Yep.
Imagine paying full-time salaries to a crew of workers, but they spend 40 to 60% of their day just sitting in their trucks drinking coffee.
Right, you'd be furious.
You would never accept that. But that is exactly what you're doing with your idle machinery. You're paying for the asset, paying the insurance premiums, taking the massive depreciation hit, and the machine is literally just sitting in the dirt.
It really is. And when you frame it in human terms like that, the inefficiency becomes impossible to ignore. And then when you layer in the macro factors currently hitting the industry, that financial bleeding only compounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Take equipment theft, for instance. It costs the construction industry over $1 billion annually.
Wow, $1 billion.
Yeah. And when a machine goes missing, you don't just lose the value of the iron. The entire project timeline slips. Your crew is standing around unable to work. And of course, your future insurance premiums just skyrocket.
And then you have to add fuel costs into the mix.
Exactly. Fuel makes up 20 to 30% of a machine's total operating costs. With oil prices hovering near that $100 mark and diesel prices spiking, including a 13.9% jump in February alone, an idle machine is a serious liability.
Right.
If the engine is running but the machine isn't moving earth, It is literally burning your profit margin straight into the atmosphere.
So the bleeding points are incredibly clear here. We have $1 billion theft problem, we have idle fuel burn, and we have massive underutilization. So how do we actually stop it? This brings us to the real-world return on investment of GPS tracking and telematics.
Right. And the standard financial return is remarkably consistent across the industry. You're generally looking at $2 to $5 return for every single dollar you spend on fleet management technology.
Okay.
And as we saw with that Colorado fleet, the payback period is lightning fast. It typically takes only 60 to 90 days.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
Because if I came to you and said, hey, I have a magical system that guarantees $2 to $5 back for every dollar you put in, and it pays for itself in 2 months, I mean, you would call me a scammer.
I totally would.
Right. So if the ROI is truly that bulletproof, why isn't every single contractor in the country doing this? Is it cultural friction? Are operators threatening to quit because they feel like Big Brother is watching them?
Cultural friction is a massive part of it, actually. The construction industry has historically been driven by this iron-first mentality.
Right.
You know, we build physical things. We don't stare at dashboards.
Right.
So introducing a system that tracks an operator's every move definitely triggers that Big Brother paranoia. But it also comes down to a lack of visibility into how those savings are actually generated. It sounds too good to be true until you break down the actual mechanics of the technology.
Okay, let's deconstruct that Texas case study then. How does a company with 35 excavators pull $210,000 out of thin air just by installing sensors?
Well, they didn't pull it out of thin air. They stopped throwing it away on catastrophic failures. By utilizing telematics, the system flagged minor anomalies like, say, slight temperature increases or pressure drops in a hydraulic line long before a failure actually occurred.
So instead of a hydraulic pump blowing out in the middle of a massive dig on a Tuesday, bringing the entire site to a halt, covering the dirt in hydraulic fluid, and forcing you to pay emergency rush fees for parts.
Exactly, you avoid all of that. Instead, the fleet manager gets an automated alert on a Friday afternoon. A mechanic goes out on Saturday while the site is quiet, replaces a $50 seal, and the machine is perfectly ready for the Monday morning shift.
That's incredible.
It is. That fundamental shift from reactive maintenance, fixing things only when they explode, to preventive maintenance is the exact mechanism that saved them $210,000 a year.
That makes perfect sense. The savings aren't just in the parts. The savings are in avoiding the unplanned downtime.
Precisely.
So what about the Colorado contractor with the 80-plus machines? How did they hit $340,000 in savings?
Their approach actually tackled the behavioral side of the business. They went after that coffee drinking crew you mentioned earlier.
Right.
They drastically reduced idle time simply because the operators knew the engine runtime was being monitored. The habit of leaving a loader running for 45 minutes while eating lunch, that disappeared overnight. Yeah. They also optimized routing for their heavy haulers, which cut down transit times, and they completely prevented unauthorized weekend use of the equipment by employees doing side jobs.
It's literally like finding money hidden in the couch cushions of your own business.
It really is.
And there are secondary financial wins that kick in automatically, right?
Yeah.
Like GPS tracking acts as the #1 deterrent for theft.
Oh, absolutely. If a machine is taken, an active tracker reduces the recovery time from weeks down to mere hours.
That's huge.
And insurance companies understand this risk reduction. They routinely offer 5 to 15% premium discounts for fleets equipped with active telematics.
That pays for the system right there.
Almost, yeah. Plus, just by curbing idle times and aggressive operator behaviors, you can drop your total fleet fuel consumption by 10 to 15%.
Okay, so the technology clearly works, and the financial defense it provides is undeniable. But having mountains of data pouring in from 50 different machines across 3 different job sites, that's useless if you don't know what to look for. It just becomes administrative noise.
Exactly. Data overload.
Right. So if you are a contractor logging into this software on a Monday morning, what exactly should you be looking at?
You have to filter out the noise by focusing on the 6 golden metrics of fleet management.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first is your cost per hour. And this goes far beyond just fuel and the operator's wage. We are talking about the true, fully burdened cost depreciation, insurance, preventive maintenance, and wear and tear. You need to know that a specific dozer costs you exactly $84 an hour to run.
Because if you don't know that baseline number, how can you possibly bid on a future job with any accuracy? You're basically flying blind.
You are. You're just hoping there is profit left over at the end of the month.
Yeah.
The second vital metric is your utilization rate. We discussed how dismal the industry average is. Your operational target needs to be 70% or higher.
70%. Got it.
Yeah, and if a machine's utilization is consistently sitting below 50%, the math is completely unforgiving. It means you own too much equipment.
Which is a very painful reality to face when you've written a massive check for a piece of iron.
Yeah.
I mean, it is human nature to want to hoard equipment so you're never caught short-handed on a site.
Sure, but hoarding equipment is a very expensive security blanket.
That's a great way to put it.
Which leads to the third metric, the maintenance cost ratio. This is your annual maintenance spend calculated as a percentage of the machine's current market value.
Okay.
The rule of thumb here is strict. If that ratio crosses 15%, it is time to sell the machine and replace it.
See, this metric is brilliant because it removes the emotional attachment.
Yes.
Every construction company has that trusty old machine, right? It's been with the company for a decade. It has the faded original logo on the side, and the veteran operators absolutely love it.
Well, they always do.
But if you actually run the maintenance cost ratio, you often find that this beloved machine is actually a financial parasite.
Exactly. Data doesn't care about nostalgia.
Nope.
So the fourth metric you need to monitor is fuel consumption, specifically tracking gallons per hour on a machine-by-machine basis. This highlights the fuel hogs in your fleet.
Okay, so comparing identical machines.
Exactly. If you have two identical loaders working the exact same site, and one is burning 20% more fuel, you instantly know you either have a mechanical engine issue developing or you have a severe operator training issue.
And I imagine a lot of that excessive fuel burn probably ties directly into the fifth metric, which has to be idle time.
You nailed it. The engine is running, the meter is ticking, but no earth is being moved.
Right.
The industry average hovers around a terrible 30 to 40%. Your absolute mandate must be to drive that number under 20%.
Under 20.
Yes. Because every hour a machine idles, it burns fuel, but worse, it burns through your warranty hours and accelerates your preventive maintenance schedule for absolutely zero physical progress.
Just literally burning money. And what completes the picture? Metric 6.
Location and geofencing. This is about knowing exactly where your assets are in real time and setting digital boundaries around your job sites.
Like a virtual fence.
Exactly. If a skid steer crosses that invisible digital line after 6 p.m. on a Friday, your phone instantly lights up with an alert. You stop theft the very moment it begins.
Man, knowing those 6 metrics is powerful. But physically tracking them across a chaotic business is another challenge entirely.
Oh, for sure.
How do contractors actually access this information without adding a massive IT headache to their plate? And how does this technology help solve the ultimate dilemma every construction business is facing in 2026, deciding whether to rent or own their equipment?
Well, let's break down the technology stack first. You generally have two main avenues. The first is OEM telematics.
Right, this stuff from the manufacturer.
Exactly. The native systems built directly into the machines by the manufacturer. So you have JD Link for John Deere, Cat Product Link, or CoMTREX. The primary benefit is that this data is often included for free when you buy a newer machine.
But the glaring downside is that those systems are completely siloed. I mean, almost nobody operates a pure single-brand fleet.
Exactly.
If you own Deere, Cat, and Komatsu, you're suddenly forcing your fleet manager to jump between 3 different websites just to get a morning summary. That friction basically defeats the entire purpose of automation.
That is the exact pain point driving the industry toward third-party platforms. Systems like Tenna, HCSS, Equipment Share, or Verizon Connect. They use APIs to pull data from every brand, every year, and every model into one single unified dashboard.
And what is the actual financial hit for setting up a unified third-party system?
You're generally looking at a monthly cost of roughly $20 to $100 per machine, depending on the depth of the analytics.
Okay, so to put that in perspective, outfitting a 20-machine fleet costs roughly $4,800 to $24,000 a year.
Right. And when you measure a $24,000 annual cost against the reality of saving over $200,000 by preventing blown hydraulic pumps, I mean, the investment isn't just justified, it feels mandatory.
It really does.
And it is mandatory if you want to navigate the current economic climate, because the cost of borrowing capital to buy heavy iron is immense right now.
Oh, the interest rates are brutal.
Brutal. With financing rates sitting at punishing levels around 13% from non-bank lenders and 8% from traditional banks, buying equipment is riskier than ever. According to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, there has been a massive 113% surge in Google Trends searches for equipment rentals.
Wow, a 113% surge. That means the entire industry is actively reconsidering ownership. Contractors are staring at those interest rates, watching maintenance costs climb, and deciding to just let the rental houses absorb the risk.
Exactly. And telematics becomes your crystal ball for making that exact decision.
How so?
Well, the golden rule for fleet management in 2026 relies purely on your utilization metric. If a machine's utilization sits below 60%, you need to rent it.
Below 60, rent?
Yes. The math of ownership simply does not pencil out when the machine sits idle that often. Now, if the utilization is consistently above 70%, you should absolutely own it.
Okay, but what if you find yourself in that messy middle zone?
Yeah.
Right between 60 and 70%.
Well, that is where you have to do the hard math specific to your local market, your negotiated financing rates, and your internal maintenance capabilities. But if you aren't tracking the data, you don't even know you're in the danger zone to begin with.
It's a great point. And, we also need to touch on the physical evolution of the machines themselves. The transition from diesel to electric iron is becoming a major factor in these purchasing decisions right now.
It's a critical future-proofing strategy. When you evaluate the 5-year total cost of ownership, or TCO, the comparison is actually jarring.
Let's hear the numbers.
Operating an electric machine over 5 years runs about $422,000. A comparable diesel machine will cost you around $628,000 over that exact same period.
Wait, that is a $206,000 operational savings on a single piece of equipment.
The savings are very real, but you have to confront the physical realities of the job site. The charging infrastructure remains a massive bottleneck.
I was going to say, where do you plug it in?
Exactly. You cannot simply run a 4-mile extension cord out into a remote dirt pit to charge a 40-ton excavator.
Right, that's not happening.
So until mobile, ruggedized charging solutions catch up, diesel will maintain its grip on heavy earth moving.
Okay, so we've thoroughly dialed in the physical iron. We have the telematics humming. We're making clinical rent versus own decisions based on utilization, and the machines are running lean.
Yep.
But optimizing the physical iron only wins you half the battle, because as a construction business scales its field operations, the administrative load placed on the back office absolutely multiplies.
Oh, it's the most common scaling bottleneck in the entire industry.
Yeah.
Creating a highly efficient, data-driven fleet out in the dirt does not protect your profit margins if your project managers back in the trailer are drowning in paperwork, missing critical change orders, and spending half their week hunting down compliance permits.
Exactly. I mean, there's projected $47 billion in construction tech spending slated for 2026. And it is obvious that all of that capital is not just going toward GPS trackers on bulldozers.
No, not at all. A huge portion of that capital is targeting the administrative burden.
Right.
In fact, Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report details how AI platforms are fundamentally revolutionizing the management side of the construction business, allowing teams to scale their project load without hiring an endless army of administrators.
How does that actually look in practice, though? Because project managers are currently exhausted just trying to keep their heads above water.
Well, AI handles the cognitive heavy lifting that exhausts those managers. Think about the daily friction points on a site. Modern platforms automatically tag and organize thousands of unstructured site photos, architectural plans, and RFIs.
So no more digging through messy email threads.
Exactly. And instead of a project manager spending 2 hours at the end of the long day trying to write up a coherent daily log, the AI generates log summaries and meeting recaps instantly based on the day's inputs.
Wow. Just reclaiming those 2 hours a day changes the entire quality of life for a manager.
Definitely.
But the capabilities go far beyond just acting as a smart filing cabinet. Let's talk about document intelligence.
Document intelligence is where the real leverage is found. Picture a 600-page specification book for a complex commercial build.
Just a massive binder.
Exactly. An AI platform can instantly extract the critical material tolerances, compliance metrics, and structural details from that binder. It basically acts as an automated oversight mechanism, detecting schedule risks, operational bottlenecks, and budget variances long before they manifest as physical disasters on the job site.
Right, so it analyzes the master schedule and warns you, like, hey, based on the delayed delivery dates of this structural steel and the current pace of your concrete crew, you are going to have a massive staging clash in week 6.
Yes, it predicts the collision so you can avoid it entirely. It can even automate RFI responses by instantly pulling historical project data, and it can analyze the financial and timeline impact of a sudden change order before you even sign off on it.
Which really ties the entire philosophy of this deep dive together perfectly.
It does.
Whether you are putting a telematics sensor on a loader to monitor hydraulic pressure, or deploying an AI platform to parse a 600-page specification manual, the mechanism of success is identical.
Spot on.
You are shifting your entire operation from a reactive state to a proactive state. You stop waiting for engines to explode, and you stop hunting through dusty filing cabinets while your crew stands around waiting for direction. You literally force the data to do the heavy lifting for you.
It is a complete evolution of how a construction business functions.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a final paradigm shift you should really consider. Think about your job site tomorrow morning. Look at the iron, the materials, and the crew. What if the most valuable, most profitable asset out there in the dirt isn't the bulldozer, the crane, or the excavator itself?
Oh, I like where this is going.
What if the most valuable asset you own is actually the invisible stream of data those machines are generating every single second?
Man, that reframes the entire business model.
Right.
If you are not actively capturing and analyzing that data, you are leaving your greatest competitive advantage buried in the dirt.
Absolutely.
So here's your practical homework for this week. It's a simple exercise, but the result might be a real wake-up call. Go find out the exact utilization rate on your 3 most expensive pieces of machinery.
Just those 3.
Just the top 3. If you ask your team and you cannot get a concrete, mathematically sound number for those 3 machines, well, consider that your very first problem to solve.
Great advice.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe, rate, review, and share this deep dive with your team or colleagues who need to hear this. And be sure to visit smartbusinessautomator.com.